Oh, friends, call me atheist again. We're still talking with Oleg. We had a wonderful chat about religion, and Oleg is an ex-JW, and we were just talking about what changed him to be an atheist. So, carrying on with our conversation, Oleg, please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. So, where did we stop last time?
Oh, that's a good question because I need to recheck. I was so focused on the timing of it that I didn't realize. But I think we were talking about how people they cherry pick the Bible, and then they tell others that you all of the things in Bible are good, but when questioned on that, they they tell you the good passages, but try to avoid the bad passages. And if you really push them, they say it metaphorically, and which you brilliantly justified by saying you can literally justify anything metaphorically if you want to.
Yeah, I think we have like two great topics, the cherry picking and defining anything as a metaphor. I think I can add up some ideas.
Sure.
And I also, yeah, I would address the cherry picking like really quick. I think it's very easy for an atheist just to Google top 10 weirdest passages from Bible, top 100 capital punishments for the Bible. And that's, let's say, a great starting point. You can see the whole atrocities the Bible has. And many believers, especially Christians, they could say, well, that's cherry picking. And that's true. You can't just take one awful passage and say the whole Bible is bad. So, what I try to do, at least I put some effort, and sometimes I can manage it, sometimes not. Well, I try to look not only on the obvious atrocities like bashing babies against the rock, and that will make you happy,
Oh,
or yeah, or just killing homosexuals, or killing men and women who know what's menstruation. That's weird. But sometimes I look more into a deeper concepts,
mhm.
and I like when Christians say that God is love. They usually give this as an answer to all these atrocities that we have.
Mhm.
So, okay, I say usually, okay, let's take it as an axiom or a premise, whatever. It's something that you say, God is love. But why does the Bible say that uh, God is jealousy? And also,
Mhm.
the Bible gives us the third premise that where is love, there is no jealousy. And the fourth one, God says when he's jealous, he gets angry. And when he's angry, he kills or burns people alive, something like that. I
Yep.
may be corrected in the comments, but let's say there is a punishment for that. So,
Yep.
how all this builds a concept which concludes that God is love when there is definitely a contradiction?
Yeah,
Like, even
it sounds like a god level kink, doesn't it? Hurt people.
yeah, he does it all the time. There are so many books, by the way, about all the possible atrocities God does. I think even someone made a count to see how many people actually did kill God and Satan killed. And if I remember correctly, it was more than 2 million of people God killed, and only 10 people Satan killed.
Oh,
That
wow.
that yeah, that actually says something about the Creator, you know.
Yeah, relatively, Satan is a saint.
Yeah, he's kind of portrayed as skeptical and sometimes likes killing if we accept that 10 count of kills. I
Mm.
actually never encountered passages, or maybe I don't remember, where he actually killed. I'm not trying to be the devil's advocate. I'm sure he can be a bad guy and he killed, but personally I didn't read that. So I think that's should be the first thing in the list after this call.
Yeah, with you touched on the topic of homosexuals. I just wanna put it out there. When I was still a believer and I didn't stop believing, I used to think homosexuals are bad people. They just are. And don't ask me the reason because I had none. And one of my friend asked me, why do you think homosexuals are bad? And I'm like, and homosexuality for me, a man sleeping with a man, I was okay with lesbian sex because I'm a man and that's all right. It's a pleasure to the eyes rather than anything else. But with men sleeping with men, I was like, oh, it's not right. And I have this stupid arguments like, but they can't have children. Don't you want to have child? Marry and have a child, which is like the things taught when you're growing up. But my friend asked me, you haven't really answered me the question why homosexuality is bad. Why is a man sleeping with another man is bad? And I really had a hard thought. And I'm like, I actually don't know. Because they are having sex with each other. Sure, I don't feel nice seeing a guy kissing another guy, but they're not really asking me to do the same. They're just doing whatever they want to do. And what is my problem with that? And I really try to think hard, and I'm like, I'm sure I can come up with a reason, but because I always was a critical person to myself, and I'm like, actually, there is no reason. It's just normal. And then, of course, when you start thinking about things, your Google changes. The things that you Google before versus things that you Google now are completely different. And I'm like, let's Google it. And then suddenly there is like, I love watching animal documentaries and stuff. And before, I never really thought about it, but then animal documentaries and stuff. And then they say it's quite common in animal kingdom that a male having coitus with other males. Um, and I'm talking about male animals, even though I can argue that we are animals as well. So yeah, that was enlightening in me. Like, yeah, that's a good point. If a person wanna live the way he wanna live, who am I to stop them? You know, and then the same with other things as well. So yeah, I just wanted to let it out there that my reason for hating somebody was that maybe I was brought into hating somebody. In the movies, in the Bollywood movies, they always make a gay character which is always laughed at. And when you're growing up as a child, this leaves a big impact on you. And it is really hard to shake off. And probably that's why it took me a while to shake off the religion aspect of things as well.
It's really interesting when you said like you don't have, or in the past you didn't have like reasons why you don't accept or tolerate homosexuality. But many Christians actually they have an answer. They say Bible is against that, and it has like really strict rules and the punishments for that. And when I was starting to be an atheist, I was Googling a lot and I was curious, like how many Christians support that? And if you Google that, you can find that there are almost 4,000 up to 10,000 dominations of Christians. I'm not sure if it's true, but we have like so many. And
Mhm.
surprisingly, there are many Christians who actually accept homosexuality and they're okay with that. And the first thing like it begs a question like why, what are they basing it on? And here
Mhm.
comes the metaphor. When the Bible says if a man lies with a man the same way as he lies with a woman, he has to be killed with a rock, they actually
Yeah.
found a man in Hebrew means a small undeveloped child. So that's a passage actually against pedophilia, not homosexuality. So homosexuality is good.
Yeah, interesting conversation. I was listening to Lawrence Krauss. He's a scientist, and there were like four people on the thing. I'll try to find a talk and perhaps message you. I'm not, or you may already have listened to it. One of the pastor was actually gay, so and the other pastor was not, gay. And then uh, people ask a question: since the Bible says gays are bad, why are you gay? And then the guy said, God loves everyone, and everybody's created in the image of God. So it's all good. And the other pastor was like, you probably go to hell. And that's the one. I don't remember the exact things, but it was really interesting how metaphorically one can read the same thing and come to a different conclusion. And yeah, some take it again. It's cherry picking. If I want to take it literally, I'll take it literally. And if I want to change it according to my narrative, then I'll do that as well.
Yeah, that leads to double standards, and we can see it in Christianity, like, or maybe in many other religions, like all the time. It's really interesting how they put so much accent to homosexuality. They make anti-gay parades, like even in Moldova, where I'm from. We
Mhm.
had uh, anti-gay parades. There were lots of priests from Orthodox churches, all dressed in black. They were singing almost like death songs. It was like horrifying, and they were throwing eggs, potatoes, even rocks at gay people. And I was always curious, like, okay, you are against sin, but why from all the sins you choose homosexuality, but you don't go to jail and tell people like what you did is wrong. We are against your sin. We're against your bad thinking. We want you to be good. And maybe the answer is simple because 99% of people who are in jail, they actually believe in God. So they can't go against their people. So
Yes,
yeah, they need an enemy. So I guess homosexuals are the best one in that list. I don't know.
it's an easier audience to target, I feel,
Yeah.
because you're a good person or a bad person. As long as you're a religious person, for everybody it's easy to target the homosexuals. I feel like, because from where I am, I mean, you can't see homosexuals on the road, or at least I don't. I've seen it in movies, and I've been to Philippines once, and over there, the population, the gay people going out in public in a restaurant, uh, is so much. It's crazy. Or it's not so much, but they are allowed to be open and be there. By the way, in Philippines, when we went there, uh, Christmas time, and a lot of people actually believe in the God of the Bible. So there you go. Whatever it depends on the country, and then the culture, or whatever it is. I've heard that people actually beat their children out of homosexuality, and that's my argument with the homosexuality is. And there was somebody who was talking to me. They said, "Can you ever see yourself sleeping with a guy?" And I said, "No." And then I said to the guy, "It's like, maybe the guy who's gay, they can never see themselves sleeping with a girl, just like I can't, or you can't see yourself sleeping with a guy. At the same time, they can't see themselves sleeping with a girl. This just cross them out. And it's just the way they are. So, but as long as they're not causing harm, they're being nice person. And I've yet to meet a gay person who's bad. They're just in their own thing and they just don't care. But those people actually get a lot of burnt, uh, in the community. They get laughed at. It's really bad.
Where I'm from, people who are homosexuals are really treated bad, and we don't have like per se open people, because if you say that at job it can affect your career, if you say it in public, whatever can happen, like bullying or even attacks on yourself. We are really influenced by Russian culture, and if we see what happens actually in Russia, when you say you are a lesbian, a gay person, you can end up with eggs thrown in your window.
Oh, wow.
So basically, we are affected with this mindset, but I'm not blaming only Russian people. We are this like cluster of countries from Eastern Europe, and we affect each others, and we are really homophobic part of the Europe, but we're getting better. Like there are people who they used to say, if I find a gay, I'm gonna kill him. Now they can say, whatever he does at his home, it's his problem. So there is progress.
Interesting you say that, and I think it's probably relative. From India, from where I see, Europe is like at the forefront of accepting homosexuality. It's getting normal because on the TV you see like gay parades and stuff like in Germany and stuff. So it gives an impression because if you haven't traveled a lot, the world look smaller. Like say for example, the Europe for me is the whole Europe, but for you there is like Paris. Sorry, there is France, there is Germany, there is Moldova and Ukraine, and everything is different, and you can tell it's bigger. From where I see, it's like there's Europe and there's like tiny little countries around there. Well, relatively they are smaller than India, but still big countries, you know and they impact each other because they're so closely connected, I suppose. Um, it's really interesting how people think about things. It is disturbing at times how people think about at things, because even if the people say, yeah, if they're religious and they say, according to me, yeah, homosexuality is good, but then again, they're still praising the thing which other people can praise and get to different and wrong conclusions, like homosexuality is bad. So, in some way, I feel they actually protect the religion. They protect the bigots. Like the bigots are really religious and they follow their book to the core, like in Muslim or Christianity or even Hinduism. There's a lot of things in India going around. It's ludicrous. People just go to the other places and they're trying to dig like tombs and mosques, and I'm like, why? It's yeah, it gets disturbing, and sometimes I just want to leave Twitter and just get calm myself, you know, and then yeah, go from there. But the reason I opened the YouTube channel was when I was looking for an atheist Indian content creator. I didn't catch many, or on YouTube. I didn't have many. So I was like, oh, wonder if I can try something out. Not that I'm the most intellectual, but whatever there is, hopefully somebody can look at it and relate. There is some other person says there's another dumb person out there who don't believe in a God. So
Yeah, I think we atheists hold the responsibility when we share some doubts or questions. We have to make it like really diligent, because any person in any opposition, if he gives like he throws all his arguments at the same time, he makes this porridge of all those ideas, you get discredited like automatically. You look weird, you're not convincing. But if you start like slowly and you actually genuinely ask a person like, why do you believe, he may say like, because of the Bible. Why do you
mm,
think Bible is right? You just give questions, you don't attack him on personal, you're just talking together. You're going to a goal, like to find an answer, and you help him, he helps you. Sometimes talking like that with a Christian, I learn a lot about the Bible.
mhm,
Not It doesn't make me a believer, but I understand his position much better. I can address his points. Maybe there is something I don't agree, and it helps me build a better question. Not just saying like there is no God. You're silly to think that. Take a book of evolution. I think those are not good arguments. These are just attacks.
mm. I was talking to one of my friend. She is an atheist as well. I won't say names, but we were discussing, and she said to me that logic cannot defeat religion, because people who are religious are not religious because it's logical. It's religious because they have the emotional connection to it. So when you say, why do you believe in this God and stuff, uh, because it makes sense to them. It's not because it's logical. So you're going to throw a theory of evolution. Some people might believe in evolution, but they can compartmentalize it in their brain that the God concept never touches evolution. It was the same for me. Like thought like this, humans came from monkeys, which now I've corrected that it's not the fact. Humans never came from monkeys. We are cousins. Just letting out there if somebody tried to criticize me on that. But I had vague idea of evolution, but my God belief never really touched that. It was amazing how I could have different compartments in my mind and they don't touch each other. And you had a good point, like you cannot attack them with logic. You have to have good questions and stuff. My question to you is, how do you deal with the people when you ask a specific question and they answer a completely different question?
It happens like all the time, and I'm
Mm,
not blaming them. I think as an theist, I did the same. I try to understand what are their reasons coming from, and sometimes you can actually see it really clear that they speak, as you said, like from emotions or
mm,
from logic or from an authority said so. When you define that, it's really easy to move on and further. And when they say that science is the thing that comes with evidence, science is the thing that comes with logic. I am from coming from religion. We speak about our personal experience with God, and maybe it's not the best argument, but I want to make a separation that logic doesn't mean only evidence.
mm.
Logic is something that gives you just a simple reason to do something. If you like coffee, why do you like it?
Yeah.
Because it's tasty or gives you energy. It's still
Mm,
logical why you do that. You don't put something that burns your hand and say, I do this because I like it. It's
yeah.
kind of breaks this feelings emotion logic. It doesn't mean you have to make judgmental or factual or other bring other evidences. It's just something that makes sense to a human mind. So why should religion be an exception to make at least one point why it's true? It feels like no, 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 I'm religious, I'm not going to answer any question, I'm not going
Mm,
to pretend that I even have them, because it's not something that we do. It feels for
mm,
me like that. And when I state it, it opens a different discussion. Some may say it's a fallacy because I make absurd their argument. So this gets us to the logical debate, which is also good. Sometimes they just change their way of reasoning why they accept something, and they don't use it's not logical, because I don't think that logic is only an instrument for debates. It's something that we do every day. Why do you
yeah.
go to the door? Someone knocked. That's simple.
No, that's a fair enough comment. And logics are different to different people. I mean, you probably have a different food over there. Like, I mean, it's the same food that you eat, but you cook it differently. There's different ways to cook food. In India, the whole cuisine is different. And I remember one of my friend came from abroad, and then he said, "Oh, he eats pasta and stuff most of the time, and he eats burgers and stuff." And I'm like, "How can you live without roti?" you know but when you zoom out and think about it, roti is all about like wheat and carbohydrates, whereas bread is the same. So you know and pasta is made out of, I think it's made out of wheat,
Yeah.
uh, and so it's the same chemical composition in the end. But it's over here, like I can understand now somewhat, but my family is like, don't you feel hungry after that? Like, I can't even live without roti. I have to have 3 times a day with whatever vegetables. And same with the other friend who's lived there for like 10 years and came back and said, I don't understand how I ate roti 3 times a day. Like, it's just ludicrous. So things change. And that's the same thing with logic, is depends on how you're thinking. I think I put it in one of the video as well. Common sense is not common. And I actually hate this phrase, because if say I'm in computers, if I fix computers, then the way I think about fixing a computer would be different from a person who doesn't fix computers. They might be thinking something else. So for their common sense, it's a different approach. For my common sense, It's a different approach to the same thing, which is fixing computers. So it's not common. We should just get it three. And a lot of people say it's obvious that there's a God. And I'm like, how? And then they say, well, it's written in a book. Most of the Christians say it's written in a book. And then some people, instead of answering the question, they say, why would you think it's not a God? Like, how can things come out of nothing? And when you try to explain it to them, like I don't personally try to explain things to them, but I just give them a mundane definition of how I understand it. And I always tell them, if you're really interested in that, please go and, Google or tell me, you know. But then they just don't want to put in that hard work. But it's like a defense mechanism for them. Um, the reason I try and do what I do is I don't care if people believe in the religion or not. I do care that people are skeptical, because for me, after being a skeptical, I I've decided that, gay people are not bad, or homosexuality is not a sin, as the word is. And no matter which religious group people are from, I genuinely want them to be happy, like, whatever they do. But then if somebody attacks someone, I would rather have this person A attacked person B, rather than Hindu attack a Muslim. Because if you put labels on things, then you don't know who's at fault. Because Hindu people just stack around with Hindu people, and then Muslim, it becomes like a tribalism sort of thing,
Yeah.
and we just ignite the situation. So that's my take on it.
When I was at JW, I think I encountered a lot of tribal mindsets. Some Orthodox Christians, they believe if you touch a book written by Jehovah Witness, that's a sin. So you have to burn that book and wash your hands a couple of days. So that's really weird. It's like separating people, like these are good people, these are bad, which is weird because two groups, they actually believe in God, and they say God is love and it's a common sense. But somehow this common sense is not so common when it gets to another group that you don't like.
Hmm.
Other thing about you also mentioned about common sense. I think none of the religion mm, says claims that are actually common sense, that like in objectively they are
Hmm.
common, because there are so many religions that they don't have a God or a loving God. So
Yeah.
when you say like God is love and that's a common sense, that's like saying that everyone else is wrong and you're the only one right.
Hmm.
So it's, that's a ego speaking a little bit.
No, exactly. And when two religion fight, and both religion believe in a loving God, how can a loving God go and say, "Yep, that's all good, just hurt of others"?
Oh man, we have like Ukrainian war right near us, and we have like Russian priests making these rituals of making those rockets saint and holy, or how it's called. And the same does Ukrainians. Uh, and for whatever reasons, one group uses this process, like make an weapon designed to kill people wholly for safety, and others do this for attacking. Conceptually speaking, they both don't make sense.
Hmm.
Speaking like in realities, of course, one of the part has to protect itself. So it's it's a sensible topic, but it's really weird when we speak about a loving God and we speak about rockets at the same time. And people actually have, I'm not sure if it's called in how it's called in English, but when you have like iconography, when you have the saints portraits, and we actually have Putin on one of those
Mhm.
iconographs, and we have Stalin.
Yeah.
Why that doesn't raise a question? uh, doesn't it make religion seem wrong?
You're blessing the rocket, which is gonna go away and kill few people, but it's been blessed. what is wrong in my statement. That's where
Yeah,
it is.
it's blessing as well.
So I agree, man. I just there's hardly going to be anything that we disagree on. I'm sure we can fight about coffee, like, but that's a different question. But thank you for your time, Oleg. I really had a good time talking to you. I don't want to take too much of your time, and plus, my life is awaiting me as well. But it's been powerful listening to you, because there's a lot of things that you've said, but if you zoom out again, there's a lot of things that I can relate to. Oh yeah, I remember I thinking like that as well. So what I want to tell the viewers or listeners is, you can see that your religion is different, but when you get down to it, me, well, when I was a believer, I was believing for the same reasons as probably you are. We both believed in God, but we had completely different mindsets. So it's all emotions that connect you to religion and nothing else. So yeah. Any last words, my friend?
I am a very, let's say, perfectionist.
Mm.
And while we talked, I was thinking what I used to say, and I have counter arguments for myself at this speech. So I think this is good because I'm willing to change my mind and change my statements and review them like over and over again, because nothing is permanent and nothing is always right. It depends on perspective, it depends on your arguments or your evidence. So I think I'm finally glad that I can be skeptical even about myself, and this is a good.
Yes. What a wonderful feeling it is, isn't it? Like, I am wrong, but I'm open about it. I can easily say that, yep, that was my fault, my bad, and move on.
Yeah,
But I just don't say that. It's like, you need to explain it to me. Why am I wrong? You know, because I'm thick in the head. So yeah.
yeah,
But it was nice talking to you, Oleg, and hopefully we can have a chat another time, because this topic is something that will just go on and on and on. I don't think there's an end to this topic, or I don't see an end there's to it.
people talk about that for 1,000 years and they don't stop.
I don't think I'm going to live that long.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, you have a good rest of your day, my friend, and thank you for the chat. I will upload it as soon as I can. And stay safe, and stay out of trouble.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers.
Same for you.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye bye.